Welcome to Women's Voice in Sustainability, the podcast that shines a spotlight on remarkable women who are making a positive impact in our world through their work in sustainability. Through their inspiring stories, we aim to ignite the passion of the next generation's conscious individuals and dedicated professionals who are committed to addressing global challenges. In today's episode, we have the privilege of interviewing Rulita Wijayaningdyah. I don't know if I pronounce it well, Rulita, an extraordinary woman who has been an instrumental in driving change in the field of sustainability since a long time. But before we dive into our conversations, let's find out about who Rulita is. Tell us, Rulita, where are you joining us right now? Where are you right now? What are you doing right now? Tell us a little bit more of you.
Thank you, Glenda and Maria Ines and Jose Carlos. Good afternoon, good morning to every one of you. My name is Rulita Wijayaningdyah. Glenda has spelled that correctly. And if I'm telling you this is not a family name that you had some difficulties to pronounce. It is actually my second name, and it probably is relevant what the second name means to the issues that we're talking about today, because it is derived from the Sanskrit, and it means Vijaya is a ruler or powerful, and Ningya is a woman. So even my parents were already emancipated back in the mid of 70s to give me my second name to become a emancipated woman or a women leader. So I'm joining from Indonesia. It's in Southeast Asia, and I'm very glad that to have this opportunity to have this podcast with you all. And I also would like to bring the greetings from the workers unions that I am currently representing in the wood and forestry industries, both in Indonesia and also globally through the affiliates of Building and Woodworkers International.
Rulita, thank you. sorry, Glenda. Amazing that your name means a power woman, no? Because you are a power woman, so you have a destiny, no? Somehow. And Rulita, we know that you have been working very hard in the last years for the workers' rights and the workers in the forest industry, or maybe the timber industry, no? Very male-dominant industry. What were you interested on that? How do you see your role as a woman in a very male-dominant industry, and how do you see the big challenges?
Actually, I started my work with the Global Union Federations in the wood and forestry industries since 1997. So it's almost more than half of my life I spent working with the workers' unions. And from the regions where I come from, actually, when we're talking about wood and forestry, it's not only forestry, but it's also in the downstream manufacturing industries like the plywood, ply mills, furniture, rattan industries, even pulp and paper ones. And perhaps in the forestry industries, in the forestry management units, it could be male dominated, but in the manufacturing processing industries, it's actually women workers who dominated the numbers of the workforce, especially in Indonesia, where I come from. So in the plywood factories, for example, around 60% of the workforce were women. And so this is quite some figures where I think back 20, 25 years ago, when the issues on sustainability was very not mainstreamed in the industries yet at that time. So the region were very much predominated with unsustainable logging or deforestations, degradations of forest, and which really led to unsustainable practices of wood manufacturing and wood processing. And as a result of that is that we could witness, and I was also part of the advocates team in my organizations when we had to advocate for the compensations for workers who have been terminated because of the industries closed down in the beginning of 2000s, because there were no more supplies, there were no more log available which could be acquired legally by the industries because of the international pressures, because there has been government policies, etc. So it really put a lot of tremendous pressures on the industries and also on the workers how to sustain employment in the longer term. And when it comes to the downstream industries, then we've also been witnessing that it is the women workers who suffered most and who are to be retrenched or to be terminated first compared to the fellow male workers. So this is one of the situations that I think has also motivated a lot of workers' organizations to also taking a bit more active part in campaigning about sustainability issues, because we know that unsustainable practices do not lead to sustainable jobs. So what we were starting campaigning since 2005, 2007 is sustainable forestry for sustainable jobs, because we believe that if the forest is managed in a sustainable way, it could provide more certainties for the industries in terms of its long viabilities and also providing more stable jobs for the workers. So I'll just stop here first.
Rulita, that story that you're telling, I mean, has been quite a journey. As you were talking, I was picturing everything that you were saying, and that brings me to the following question: what critical skills or knowledge areas should women interested in sustainability focus on improving to flourish in that field based on all this background and history that you went through in Indonesia?
Well, my opinion on that, Glenda, would be that as women, we are not necessarily have to take into one common path, because I've been witnessing that we do have quite a very fabulous and fantastic foresters, women who work actually in the forest and become forest managers. And we also have women who are very fantastic as being the managers of the factories. And those also, I mean, women who are in the in the certification or auditing bodies, and also those who have been strong advocates for the rights of the indigenous peoples, of the communities, of workers' rights. So all of these areas are not limited for women to flourish, as long as they are also motivated and they're also committed to expand and to improve their knowledge. They want to expand their capacities and also really want to make sure that they are contributing in whichever areas they want to play part in.
Rulita, we agree that women, we can do everything because we have the multi-purpose brain. I don't know, we can do everything, but it's not always easy to do it. Maybe we have the talent and the intelligence, but it's not so easy to open doors sometimes. So just to learn more about you and your experience, can you tell us one personal situation when you had to make difficult decisions, when you have to overcome a very complex situation, how you manage this, how you could solve something which was maybe you have to take risk, or maybe you have to be exposed, or whatever. Especially in the workers' rights side, is very hot. No, the discussion around the world, not only in Asia, probably. So, tell us one situation when you really had to put all your talent in place and you succeed, and what can we learn from this?
So I can tell you that I was once regional chair in for our union branch province in East Kalimantan, East Borneo, back in 2012, and we had to lead mobilizations of over around 15,000 members. And they have been scattering in all of those very remote branches, districts, regions throughout East Kalimantan, and we had to come to the governor's office to demand a minimum wage that really covers the basic needs of the living cost index. Because before 2012, then it was only 80% max that the minimum wage are covering the basic living needs of a single worker. And so we had mobilizations of what I was telling you about 15,000 workers at the 1st of November in 2012. And because of that mobilizations, and it also followed through previous negotiations in the wage councils where I was also representing. But there was a failed negotiations, and we could not come into an agreement of settling regional minimum wage at that time. Then we had to mobilize the workers, and we succeeded, and it was like a 48% increase of the regional minimum wage, which was quite a phenomenal figures at that time. And I think it was also quite historical in case of the minimum wage increase in Indonesia and also in the region. So I think that was I think quite an overwhelming experience that I've had. And my fellow union officials are, of course, I mean, most of them are men. But we did also have a strong women organizers and strong women activists who are mobilizing our rank and files membership on the ground, and they come up into one place on the 1st of November 2012 in Samarinda, East Kalimantan.
Wow, that is something.
And congratulations, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I just comment something, Glenda, before you go. And this is what these kind of conversations are so needed, because we don't know, how you have accomplished, how many women are doing so many important changes.
Yeah, but I think I mean the most it was really it was what you see in the media is perhaps the mobilizations, the rallies, the pickets, but what is also quite a hard work that women and also women leaders also have to endeavor before then is all of the negotiations, all of the lobbyings, all of the trainings, and all of the capacity buildings that you have to build amongst your constituencies before you actually decided to make a very strong actions and mobilizations to do that. And I think that was quite a very profound experience that I'm very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, Maria Ines, if you remember when we were talking about this this thing
See.
that we are doing, you
Uh-huh.
were saying, to show, we want to show the world about women, amazing women like you,
Yes.
doing a lot of things. I mean, doing ant job, small steps that sometimes doesn't see, but through listening to your voice, we have a spot, we have channel to deliver that message, to show everything that is going on around there, and based mainly on that experience that you just explained, how can women leaders effectively influence policy making and promote larger scale systemic change based on that you just said?
Well, first of all, is that we need to convince ourselves that we are confident to do that, and that we do have all of the, what I would say, ammunitions in our back, whether we're coming for negotiations, whether we're coming for some capacity building trainings, whether we're talking to clients, whether we're talking to management, whether we're talking to our rank and files workers, or we're talking to the communities, we're talking to government, or other policymakers. We need to have our ammunitions ready first. We need to have all of the informations. We need to have all of the evidence. We need to gather all facts that would build our argumentations solidly. So this is also what I've learned from my previous jobs, working and advocating for the industrial policies, as well as the workers' um, advocacy in the court or in the negotiations over the collective bargaining agreements, or solving grievances between workers and managements. So I think this is one of the very important key that we need to prepare ourselves, be confident. We do not come to a room full of policymakers unprepared.
Rulita, this is a masterclass to us because you have talked about lobbying, capacity, negotiation, be prepared to speak on behalf of important issues, confidence, and that I think we lack of this training of training opportunities. We are not usually trained to be in a higher positions or in places where the important decisions are made. So you have given us very, very important clues how we should develop. And also, you think, that gender equality is very far from being a reality. And some studies say that it will take 200 years to reach gender equality globally. And after pandemic, they said not 200 years, 300 years, 100 years. So we still, of course, we have a bridge to cover. There is a long way to walk. Still, we need to walk a long way, and we are not going to see the results. No, our generation, but we need to work, and this is our objective to stimulate young people or young talent. No, so thinking on that, we know that you are a person very political, strong political, we can see. So you have been part of the board of FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council, for many years. I don't know, 1 period, 2 periods, I don't know how many, and 2 periods. And this is a place where women should be. I know, we should be in the places where the big decisions are made. And you are candidate again to be part of the board of directors of FSC. So what do you think should be your contribution to be in that board? Why it's important for the members to vote for you, choose you, and what would you like to change?
Well, yes. One of the challenge we have, especially in our which was sub chamber in the FSC membership. I'm representing Social Chamber South. Is actually the underrepresentations of Asia Pacific in the board of directors of the FSC International. And I think given the large areas, and the potentials, as also the certified um, certification numbers, both in the forest management and chain of custody we have in the region, and also compared in the at the membership level, the activities, exposures, as well as the the impacts of FSC to the various stakeholders. I think Asia Pacific is quite a region which has a huge potentials, but at the same time is also prone with many challenges. And this is one of the things that I would also like to contribute to, also give a little bit more of knowledge as a person coming from the region, and also give some insights and perspectives, because I think I have always been considering myself as triple minorities, Maria, Ines, and Glenda. Triple minorities is that one is as a woman member is a minority. As the second minority is coming from trade union organizations. I mean, workers' issues were a little bit less considered before in the FSC world, but I'm glad that we have been developing in the past few years in terms of bringing more voices of workers through also having more and more union organizations as members of FSC. And I think the third minority is that coming from the region which is underrepresented in the FSC. I think Asia Pacific is the smallest region in terms of membership. And so this is one of the motivations. And even though I've also been elected for 2 terms in the board before, and given that there has been very few candidates coming from Asia Pacific region, so this is something that I think I can also contribute.
Thank you, Rulita. Just, I think you mentioned something very important, which is you talk about layers of discrimination, really, because it's being minority could be also a disadvantage, and in the gender studies we call that intersectionality. So where it's not the same to be a woman that to be, I mean, maybe an Asian woman, or to be a Latina woman, or to be, we have many layers of discrimination, really, and on this, limits, and that's very important to recognize, because, and I think FSC should be more strong in how the organization deal with diversity and gender. I think. How do you think? What is your opinion on that?
I wouldn't say that I didn't say that I felt discriminated. I just said that I'm a minority, and this is slightly different. And of course, there has also been some affirmative actions going on in the FSC in the past decades, especially. But one thing that I've learned in the FSC system is that you will have to make your points heard and your noises loud to make people understand and to get your message across, making people understand what you want, what your demand would be, and that they could also agree with you that this demand is something, or this issues is something that needs to be deliberated, that needs to be taken into account by the membership, not only from the social chamber or certain chamber only, or environmental chamber, but throughout all of the chambers, because this is not a issues that can only be solved by one respective chamber only, but it needs to be solved, and it needs to be tackled. It needs to be addressed by all constituencies within the FSC system. And so this is why the issues on the gender is also not very much different. But sometimes when people do not feel like one particular issue is important or is relevant, they tend not to talk about this. So on and on, you will always have to constantly remind people, hey, we have this issue here. So can we get everybody's attentions to this, please? So yeah, this is what I think. This is what I see. And I always have the thinking like this: if we don't get a space in the table, we'll create the table ourselves.
I like that.
That was fantastic, Rulita. I like that very much.
That.
Or you create your own podcast.
Yes. Nobody wants to talk to us. Let's just create our own
podcast. Exactly. And you mentioned something very, very important. And also, through all my years in FSC, we in FSC mentioned to look and to search for this balance, which obviously we never see it very much to occur. However, I love challenges. You love challenges. Maria Ines love challenges, and that's why we are here. But talking about this is the specific challenge in the balance topic. What will you recommend, or what will be your strategy in order to link? Because as you know, every chamber, economic, environmental, and social, we have north and south, but we have different countries and cultures. For instance, how do you think would be like the magic needed to happen in order to link Latin American countries, Asian countries, African countries in the social, and search for that balance that we seek to have sometime soon?
Glenda, nobody is interested to work together if it's not for the same cause. So you cannot push our members from Latin America to work together with Asia members because it's 15 hours difference. And so by the time you're having this Zoom meeting in the morning, your time, it's going to be very late at night in our time. So that's only time zone difference. But in terms of the issues, you will have, you can shoot for one common issues if there is one common problems that perhaps is considered as important for everyone. Like, for example, why unions in Europe, North America, Latin America, Africa, Asia Pacific could come together is because we have one common issue. The issues is perhaps the improvement of health and safety provisions in the certification standards. So that could be one issue. It could also be replicated in other issues that relates to the gender, for example. I remember we had once a very nice conversations regarding the proposed changes into the IGI, the International Genetic Indicators on Discrimination, and it was it was quite subtle initially, but then people jumped up together when we finally realized, oh no, this is actually not what we would like to achieve, because the culture on or the language or the context in Latin America might be similar to those in Asia, but it could also be distinctive to those in North America or Europe, for example, for that one sentence of indicator. And this could create some debate, but it was also quite interesting, and I think that could also be taken as an examples. If we pick one issues that would be a common interest for people who are concerned about the gender and diversity issues in the FSC, for example, and you just ignite that. Oh, we do have a problem, people, and this is something that we need to discuss and to have some common deliberations about. Then people will come together. You don't have to push everyone to be participating. You can also accommodate those who are only interested. It might be only a handful of people, but it's going to be a start. So it can generate the discussions in their respective regions. And I could understand that perhaps some frustrations that we might be facing is that it would only be the same people showing up, and it was not really outreaching to a wider membership. But I think this is one of the situations that we also need to understand,
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, Rulita, this time was amazing. It's just unbelievable how
And
flies.
it went so fast.
Yeah.
And we are now reach our time. It was amazing, Rulita. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the opportunities. I'm very happy that we have this, and it's really boosting the powers of the people, of the women, and it's really increasing and make our voices heard, and really placing our energy into something positive. And it's really I think it's very encouraging for other women members to also follow.
No,
Thank
thank
you for
you,
initiating this, Maria, Ines, and Glenda.
No, thank you for accepting our invitation. And also, I think we need to support each other. This is fundamental.
Women support women.
Exactly. Not always, but here, see.
And we wish you every success in achieving your goals, including securing a place in FSC boards. Okay?
Good luck. Bye, Rulita.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too.
You too. Good night.
Night.